Hello, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Obiajilu in the building.
Welcome back.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you. House of BC.
Nice.
Everybody BC. So I'm doing sales, basically. That's what's been happening. And I'm trying to, it seems like 24 hours is not enough because I have a lot to do. I went to the warehouse yesterday, got back all my inventory. I'm trying to record them into the system so that when we do the physical sales, we know what we are taking off. Because I'm going to be at the Lagos Street Fair in November.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. So it's a lot of work. In fact, my sitting room upstairs is full with goods. Or guys shouting, what's the meaning of this? I say, Uncle, get me a shop.
Yes, you need to get a store so that we can go to the store at least.
So it's inventory. Once I leave here now, I'm heading home. We start again. Yeah.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Alaja Nima Akasha Zibiri. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Story. Tell us what is going on.
No, I'm okay.
Nothing of it.
So how are you
yesterday
doing?
I was at the birthday party of Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa,
saw the
OON. You
Yes.
got to add that to the name now. And it was also her 60th birthday yesterday.
She can dance. She will bend down.
She was not only that, she was also singing. The woman was singing. I mean, she was ready for that party, like a bride that is ready for her dancing. It was nice. It was like her family.
Man.
And she was
Very
surprised. Her
energetic
son
at 60.
showed up, you know, traveled in and showed up, and she was shocked. I mean, she just started crying when she saw her son. It was just a nice time to be around. And Abuja was gridlock. You know how they complain that Lagos has traffic? There was traffic everywhere because the lots of the OON honorees came with their family and friends, and they were all having parties. So everyone was having parties around.
Fashola also got a COA.
Yes, so that's true.
Congratulations,
And
sir.
Folashade Okoya got MON.
Yes.
She also had lunch yesterday. So, I mean, lots of people got to watch.
Congratulations.
Very interesting. But, you know, I mean, it's good to know that people are awarded for the work they've done. All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Why I am yet to release manifesto by Obi, Dangote, Obajana Cement properly acquired. All right, which story are we starting with?
Oh, yeah, Assembly. So I was shocked to see the clerk of the House of Assembly in Oyo, write query an EFCC invitation to members of the House to come and assist with information on an investigation on the finances of the Oyo State House of Assembly. So the EFCC had written that they are probing the finances of the House of Assembly in Oyo, and immediately they went to court to try to stop them, saying that they contravene Section 125 of the Constitution, which forbids any security agency from investigating the finances of the House of Assembly of any state, and resides only that power with the Auditor General of the state. Now, this is a court matter, but they're then saying, without getting an injunction against the EFCC to not come and investigate that. And so the clerk of the House, Mrs. Yetunde Awe, wrote a letter to the EFCC querying the propriety of their actions and telling them to stay off business of the House. So the House is not in any way, the members of the House are not in any way immune, and so they can be invited by any security agency in the course of investigating anything. So that's a separate matter from investigating the finances of the House. So whether the EFCC is investigating the finances of the House is a different matter. But whoever they want to invite, I think they can invite. Well, I don't know what they're trying to hide anyway. We'll go.
So the federal government has given approval for building of an airport in Lekki by the Lagos state government. The airport, the first phase of which would cost about $900 million. Say it will cater to about 5 million air passengers around Lekki. Why are you dancing? Aja and Epe exist annually. Now, the approval letter was presented to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu by the Aviation Minister, Hadi Sirika, at the ongoing 9th Ehimbeti Lagos Economic Summit. The theme is Lagos State 2022 to 2052, charting the path to sustainable socio-economic growth. So Sirika said that the airports, when it's completed, will not only make Lagos accessible to everyone, but to also spur commerce and take trade to a greater level. And the governor was very, very interested and happy with this, saying that the airport will serve the interests of the people. They're trying as much as possible to make businesses easy, improve on the infrastructure of business. And they have a 30-year plan for Lagos.
It's like the only subnational that is doing national things, like the kind of railroads they are doing now. They are going to build airports. It's just,
Yeah,
it's quite ambitious.
He's been asking for special
Status, but it's not there yet to give them the special status.
But you can imagine the traffic.
Yeah, I get that. Let me take this human interest story. So, Oloja of Epe, Oba Kamoroudeen Animashaun, has disowned his wife. She went to go and pick up a deputy governorship ticket under the Social Democratic Party. Her name is Olori Morenike Abeni. He said, I would like to officially say, I have no idea. She did not discuss with me that she wanted to go and pick up the governorship ticket, that he is a supporter of the government of the How does the wife say that she didn't take my permission? So I'm thinking that's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Do you need your husband's permission or your wife's permission to take an
the African man.
Leave Oba, a hot topic because you are
the African man.
You have an ambition.
You need to take permission.
Oh, no.
To come and talk
Not
about
talk of Oba.
You are married to the head of
Listen.
Tradition.
Listen, you have a political ambition. You, maybe God has called you to be a politician. Now, this woman has now said, it is SDP I want. And my husband is PDP, for example. It's like, no, they have to, so can she have... So he has dissociated himself from her, said, I don't know, she didn't discuss with me that. In fact, he was
they divorcing?
Like, the paper didn't say that. Let's move on, I beg. Is there another story in Nation that was important? Let's move on. Quickly to the Punch. Presidential fleet funding rises to 81 billion naira under Buhari. Nation building requires sacrifice, Buhari tells 450 honorees. Osinachi's husband abused her, singers, ex-employees tell court. Flood kills 500 injured, 1,546, says federal government. Lagos developer defrauds 200 house seekers. Victims blame police. Obajano acquisition followed due processes. Dangote. Obi unveils campaign team today on Haneze Lords Afenifere. ASUU awaits Buhari on no work, no pay, holds neck meeting. Okay, which story are we starting with? The human...
So the landlady of one-story building, identified as Kudirat, allegedly connived with an agent, Tunde Nojim Dean, to perpetrate fraud. Nojimudin, there's no Mudel. They spelled it in English, and I called it in English. So they had collected money from over 200 tenants, supposed tenants, that they had apartments to give them, only for them to arrive there on the 24th of September and found that they had only 14 flats. The guy ran away. The landlady was nowhere to be found. But later on, they were able to report them to the police station, and these tenants were crying. Some of them said they didn't have any other place to stay. They paid from 300,000 to 500,000. One of the guys was saying that his wife just put to bed and they don't have, in fact, they are crashing in the pastor's house because they were thinking that their house would be ready at the moment. Then they are taking the matter to the police station. They transferred it to the State Criminal Investigation Department, Yaba. And they realized that the state CID was requesting for 50,000 naira each before the case would be processed. That's from the people who had lost money already. And they said they didn't have the money. So they reported the matter to the Deputy Commissioner of Police, who gave a waiver and said they don't need to pay that money. However, the matter had not been taken up. Some people are saying that it seems like the man, that's the agent, has been conniving with the police. That, in fact, the police did not even pick him up. He went there himself, submitted himself. After investigation, they let him go. That he's been conniving with the police. He pays them off, and he's been doing this to so many other people over the years. So they are calling on the Lagos state government to do something about these 200 people who have lost money. And then the advice is, before you make that kind of payment, you need to do due diligence. Fraud is fraud. They should catch that man, arrest him, and prosecute him, take him to court and deal with him. How many investigations can you make before you pay for something? People set up online stores, do adverts, and then they are ripping people off, and you cannot do investigations. Right. How many investigations can you do?
It must be consumer protection.
Okay.
The floods. So finally, we heard the federal government on the flood through the ministry, the PAMSEC Ministry of... the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. So they called the meeting among relevant agencies, responding to the flood across the country. And they admitted that they lost 500 persons to these floods that happened across the country. 45,249 houses have been damaged. 70,566 hectares of farmland. Just imagine. That have been destroyed due to the flood. And they compared the magnitude of this flood to that happened in 2012 saying that, they've not seen this type in the past. But NEMA in this report now talked about what they found out by 9th of October. They said that the water level in Lokoja and Makurdi, those cities along the River Niger and the River Benue, rose to 11% above recorded level in 2012 so far. And this is what they've noticed, that 1.4 million persons were affected by the floods and displaced by the floods. Over 790,000 people displaced, 1,500 people injured. I love that they've taken this inventory. I want to see what they will plan to do, how we will respond to know the crises that come with flood. After post-flood, you might have an epidemic because water diseases will be spread. You have people displaced, of course. You've lost livelihoods, farm products, and all of that. So we might have drought, and we might have lack of food. So I want to see what they'll do to respond.
Let me take the major headlines. So this is a report by Punch, says that the presidential air fleet has risen by 121% in the last 8 years. According to this report, our president's fleet has, let me give the breakdown. So according to them, 62.4 billion has been used for the operations and maintenance of the aircraft. They have about 10 aircrafts in the presidential fleet. And 70.2 billion for foreign and local trips, 2 billion earmarked for other related expenses. And according to them, they had tried to sell off two of his aircrafts, and they had buyers who had offered about $24 million, but unfortunately, they reneged and said that they didn't want to pay that much. They wanted to now pay $11 million. But the point is that the cost of maintaining our presidential fleet has risen, according to this report on Punch, to 81.8 billion naira. That is a conversation we need to have, because we're trying to say cost of governance is reduced. Punch did a real thorough report on how the president and vice president have what they spent on various travels across the world, and what's being used specifically for the maintenance of their aircrafts. Why do they have 10 presidential fleets for going around? 10.
We have 10 presidents.
No, not 10 presidents. They have 8 now.
It's a conversation.
The conversation worth having. So I mean, if you look at this report, says that Nigeria overborrowed to fund non-essential items, and president has failed to uphold the pledge to reduce the aircraft within the presidency. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. You got to take it.
Yes, so the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, is still awaiting the decision of the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, on the no work, no pay rule invoked by the federal government since they started the strike 8 months ago. Then they said the President's decision on the matter is key to the decision of the union, and they cannot do anything without that decision. It also helped them determine whether they should call off the strike or continue the strike. So they said that it's only the president that can grants the waiver for the areas of the striking lecturers to be paid or not to be paid. And they're still waiting for that particular issue to be resolved. However, ASUU is planning to have a meeting with his counterparts all over the country to determine where to go forward, whether to go forward or not. And they have not set the day that they're going to be doing the meeting. Hopefully, something will come out of it.
Okay, so quickly, just since we've been taking the Obajana, Dangote, and the Kogi State government story, so the Dangote Industries Limited, which is the parent body of the Dangote Cement, has issued a statement that they acquired the land solely, the land on which the Dangote Cement is built in Kogi. They acquired it solely in 2003, and they paid taxes since 2007 to the Kogi State government, and that they had to issue this following, the accusations that they should come and show papers and all of that, and that at the time of in our present economic circumstances, it's become important that, they do the right thing to acquire and employ people and create businesses. Basically, they're just saying we have due papers. So let's see what the Kogi government will do.
Let's move on quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. How Nigerian doctors, other foreigners are exploited in the UK. That's a BBC report. Wiki appoints 14,000 advisors, 359 liaisons officers. Crude oil theft. Clark calls for judicial inquiry into the military's complicit. I will hand over Nigeria free of insecurity, says Buhari. Our acquisition of Bajana cement plant followed due process. Sanwo-Olu receives FFG's approval letter for Lekki Airport, and expect high-intensity rain at the riverine flooding. NIMET warns North Central and Southern states. Okay, which story are we starting with? Let's start with the major headline.
Yes, so it's a deep story. So Nigerian doctors recruited to practice in the United Kingdom are being professionally exploited. This was a report that was written by the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC. And they said that doctors are being overworked to the detriment of the patients. There's also a possibility of the laws being broken in recruitment process as being handled by a British healthcare company. Now, the report states that the investigation found evidence that doctors from Nigeria are being recruited by a British healthcare company and expected to work in private hospitals under conditions not allowed in the National Health Service, that's the NHS. And the British Medical Association was quoted describing the situation as shocking. So when they brought it to them, they said that the matter was shocking to them, saying that the sector needed to be brought in line with the NHS. So BBC had to, speak to some of the practitioners, and a particular doctor who said he works in Health Leeds Hospital that was recruited in 2021, Augustine Enekwechi, said his hours were extreme. He has to work 24 hours a day for a week, and he was put in that hospital space. He was not allowed to go out, so he felt like he was in prison, meant to deliver. So he said the tiredness was very intense. There were times he was worried he could not properly function, and that was also, he was so scared it was also going to affect the patient he was, being treated. British, the companies organizing this recruitment, denied. They said there's nothing like that happening. However, there's the reports that 92% had been recruited from Africa, and 81% were specifically from Nigeria. And they all complained about excessive working hours and unfair salary deductions. So I think there was a time the World Health Organization warned that they should not actively recruit from, underdeveloped countries. They should focus on building their own doctors. But that warning was not heeded. They still went ahead. They were recruiting from places like Ghana. There were other countries aside from Nigeria that had their doctors all over in the UK, and all of them kept complaining. Then they said when they came down to countries like Nigeria, they saw that there were, examinations that doctors needed to write to be able to go to the UK. And if you see the masses gathering their doctors that are ready to write these examinations because everybody wants to go for the better conditions, but they are not really having a good time, and they are not treated like other doctors, their counterparts in that place. We need to review this. This jabba that we are all trying to jabba.
Well,
at the end of the day, it may not really pay.
Yeah, well, when there's...
It becomes an issue of cheap labor, right?
Yeah,
it's cheap labor.
It's worth discussing, you're right.
It's also better when, when people are thronging in an area, it's also better to, do your own with clarity and reach a clear contract. Most of them are on contract.
I was going to take the story on the leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, that's Chief Edwin Clark, has called on the judiciary to increase the inquiry on crude oil theft that has led to the dwindling revenue in the country. He was specifically saying that they discovered about 4 kilometers of illegal pipeline that has been planted. That it's beyond the Niger Deltans who are restive, but this is more like a mafia-like organized crime that have international backing.
Wow.
And that they need to really look into it. Let me really set up the news. Their illicit 4-kilometer pipeline through which crude oil is being siphoned goes to confirm what they've always been shouting about, that the issue of oil theft is perpetrated not just by the locals, but by mafia-like groups with connivance of some people in the industry using sophisticated engineering methods to carry out their nefarious activities. So this is worth a proper judicial inquiry into and see, because I saw a documentary recently on this. And those things cannot be installed manually. They have to be heavy-duty machines. How do those things? They have support of the military, they have support of security operatives, and they have total backing with various various bodies who are supporting them.
So
You can't act as if you don't see these things.
Plenty people now in chop 'em.
It's well.
It's sad, but you know, my personal person, Governor Wike.
Our person.
14,000.
He takes no prisoners.
Has appointed
Exactly. It was
14,000 advisors for various political units in the states.
99 hours to his exit.
You know, give a bad name. He said they are advisors for political units. And according to the spokesperson, the advisors will play a pivotal role in the administration of his state. Just as he was on his way out, he also appointed 319 ward liaison officers and 40 local government area liaison officers that, you know, he says they work with immediate effect. Appointment takes immediate effect on the way out.
Who's going to pay them?
Maybe he's
Rivers
planning to
State.
pay from
How?
his personal coffers.
Which
I don't
coffers?
understand.
It's Rivers State.
14,000.
Is this needed at the time?
I don't understand.
There are Rivers State people working for Rivers
He
State.
has what, 9 months? Or how many months does he have to leave?
There are Rivers State people working for Rivers State.
I've said. Okay, some things are left unsaid. Any other story? We have. How much time do we have left? We have just 2 more minutes. Any other stories in? I think we're actually done.
The Guardian.
Let's move very quickly to The Guardian. Buhari decorates Lawan Okonjo-Iweala, UN scribe and others. Stop blame games. Campaign with Buhari's records. PDP tells ruling party. Lagos received the approval for the Lekki airport. We talked that already. Peter Obi says he's a national movement, Ohaneze declares. How military corrupt NNPC officials, others steal Nigeria's crude oil, and IMF downgrades Nigeria's growth prospects amid pessimism and tension. You have somebody had a...
I have the, yes, Obi story, but not this particular one, but let me just take it. So the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, explained why he would not release his party's manifesto in the 2023 general election yet. So he said he was interviewed by the BBC, and he said he was waiting for the positions of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, before releasing his manifesto. And, you know, they said he's been enjoying the wave of support of the youth, and he's facing serious criticisms for not releasing his manifesto. Everybody wants to see the manifesto. So he said that he will unveil it sometime next week. So let's hope that we'll get to see what he has to offer. But his according to him, he said his main focus will be on moving Nigeria from consumption to production. So let's see what he comes up with.
Okay, I think that is all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, bringing our guests from FBN Quest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show to talk about digital assets is the head private trust FBN Quest trustees, Mr. Rotimi Obende. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
To have you on the show. So, we've seen FBN Quest come for several things. You discussed education trust. You've had various types of trust. Now we heard digital assets. We know what digital assets are. Well, how do you put that in trust? And that's the very question. So let's start for those who don't have digital assets. What are digital assets? And how do you put that in the trust?
Okay, so let's start from trying to remind ourselves what a trust is. A trust is an arrangement that you can decide to put in place, and you then ask FBN Quest trustees to manage that entire process for you. It involves advisory. It involves helping you to manage the assets that you want to put in the trust arrangement. Now, traditionally, the assets that we know are real estate or investments in stocks and shares or with banks, fixed deposits. But when you talk about digital assets, you're looking at assets that are not physical, assets that you find online. So you're looking at social media accounts, you're looking at blogs, you're looking at patents, you're looking at copyrights. These are assets that people make money from. The internet is a huge market, just to say that and put that in proper context, because a lot of money is made. I'm sure you've heard of people that somehow built multi-million or owned multi-million properties as a result of blocks that they own. So these are digital assets. We are then telling you, put that entire arrangement in a trust such that if anything then happens, we're looking at either a capacitation or the ultimate, which is death. A trust company then manages that entire process. Royalties, for example, monies that come in. As they keep coming, who do you want to be the beneficiaries of the arrangement that you have put in place? That's the entire concept of digital trusts.
Digital trust. So that has to do with even content. So for instance, I produce content and I can put my content in your trust and be paying something, right? Or how does that work exactly?
Okay, so you have content and people have subscribed to
the
that
content.
Yeah. So in putting that into a trust arrangement, you are essentially saying that, okay, from the content to subscription to ensuring that even when people come to view the content that you have put out there, that entire arrangement is what you are putting in a trust arrangement. So let's take this show, for example. Let's say in another 10 years, you probably might not be the one sitting here, but contents have been built over time. It's possible that you have an arrangement in place where royalties come to the founding founders of this, or mothers, permit me, of this particular show.
Founding sisters, please.
Founding sisters of this particular show. What then happens is that you can sit in the comfort of your home. People view this show, they pay maybe a subscription for it, or you get royalties from it. The monies that come in, the benefit comes to you. You can then decide thereafter that those benefits should go to my children or great-grandchildren, depending on
I've done that. I've come in the beginning when we tried to start.
You can still do it again.
I don't do 10 years. That
doesn't matter.
What has passed that average? But
a lot of, it's a wide market, this influencing business. A lot of people constantly, yesterday, myself and my husband, late nights, were watching one content like that, and we really thought, these guys are in huge markets. They do a lot of work. That's creativity. But you own maybe a social media page where you put your content and you grow your numbers. What exactly would you fear for someone who just maybe has one controversy and numbers just drives in? What would you fear? How do you think people steal content? What exactly should you be doing online?
Okay, so from the trust aspect, you're looking at ensuring that you have put an arrangement in place with the creator of the trust. Now, in terms of the security, and that's where it's important that you are not just on your own. You're speaking with people that can help you ensure that there's security in place. Even the content you then push out, it's important that you have conversation with maybe like a team, such that you are not putting out the wrong content, because like you said, that can throw or ensure that your followers just crash in a matter of seconds. So once you have a trust in place, the trustee constantly monitors. Just please note that it's monitoring and advisory services that we provide, such that you are then able to grow that brand. But what is of essence, how importantly to us, is ensuring that even when you are no longer there, you have employed one or two people, your page continues to function. Some of us have contracts with big companies, advertising contracts, and you are earning money on an annual basis. That money can keep flowing to your generation. So it's generational wealth transfer on its own, and it's also ensuring that people are employed, people are get paid, and your blog or your website or your social media page continues to flourish.
So what would you say? How do you come in? If I have a social media page, for instance, I manage it, they pay me, I take my money directly, and then I can transfer to you. But if you want to come in, do you take over the payment side or, control of the page?
Everything can be put under the trust. So in terms of generating content, how do you get your content? What kind of agreements do you have in place? Now, when you are no longer there, because I'm in the picture, I can continue to manage that process. We generate content. How do we then distribute the content? I can continue to distribute the content for you. Now, it's not only when you are... So when I talk about when you are no longer there, there's the possibility of age, there's the possibility of complications, email, and all of that. So, it's important that we manage all of those processes and ensuring that we are then able to transfer not from just me, but to the next generation and the generation.
Who would you say requires digital asset? Because now we're hearing maybe influencers, but who else in this range do you think should need this digital estate plan?
So apart from influencers, you have people trading massively online. So there are people that have online wallets, cryptocurrency. So just imagine you are the only one that knows your password. And you have maybe, in terms of cryptocurrency, close to 500 million or 100 million. What then happens to that? You are the only one with the password. If you pass away today, your family members have no think or access to how they So for proper, maybe you have real estate, your family then knows what to do, or you have investments in shares and stock. But if it's cryptocurrency, or if you have a wallet that you have loaded dollars, even your bank accounts that have online passwords, what do you do to all of these? These are the conversations that we are speaking about.
So when is the right time to start considering all of this insurance? Is it till you have something substantial, or as you're just starting life, you can find ways to put something in trust?
So she spoke about us that we should have been here 10 years ago. Unfortunately, we were not here 10 years ago.
Your fault.
For her, 10 years would have been the most appropriate time. However, if you look at your structure today might just be the best time to put that in place. Look at your followers 10 years ago. I'm not sure they are as much as they are today. Now you have a proper brand, a proper segment, there's a proper structure. What then happens to the ownership? What happens to the income that will be earned in future? You can't put a structure in place now and don't wait for another 10 years before you then say, you came late. I'll say that when you're starting off, think about it clearly. And even when you have made progress 5-10 years, what is important is take stock of where you are today and ask yourself, if I'm not there, will this blog, will this website, will this content continue to grow? Now, content, it also includes music. A lot of today, our artists have content online that people are subscribed to. I'll give you an example, Bob Marley. I like this example a lot, and I tend to use it because today, Bob Marley's brother is the one benefiting from all his royalties. His family members, when I say family members, wife and children, are not getting anything at all. And that's because he didn't have this structure in place. You want to be able to avoid that, such that first line of benefits or beneficiaries are your family members, your spouse, surviving spouse, and your children. That's important because, again, whether we like it or not, they are the ones that we are working for. They are the ones who wake up on a daily basis trying to take care of.
Interesting. So, for example, now, there are people out there saying, and I think they want to know exactly at what point they invite you in. So I think you try to ask that question. And just to go back to what Nima was saying. So now I have a page that is making money. If something happens to that person, and because the person is the content, the person can't create that content anymore. So is it that FBN will now continue with the content, or is the one that is already existing, they'll continue to manage for my generation, or they'll just create content just to keep the page going? Or what exactly?
Both. We can do both. We can start to manage the contents that have already been created. And that's why if you then bring us in now, we can start the content generation and even understand the content generation. Again, we need to be able to tell ourselves that it should not be a one-man show. Where issues come up is where you have a one-man show. So where you are the only content creator, when you pass away, nobody's creating content anymore. So who then manages what comes to you? Because whether you like it or not, money will keep coming to you. You have, whether it's a YouTube channel or an Instagram channel that people will view, and there's some kind of subscription that you would have put in place. That money will keep flowing, and you want your family members, dad or mom, if they are still alive, or children to take advantage of that structure.
Wrap up. Well, thank you so much. I think this is a good initiative. So in a nutshell, because I've been hearing from FBN almost very frequently. So I think in a nutshell, you're fronting against one-man business. You're trying to tell people that once you have something going, get us involved for longevity. Get us involved to help you sustain that, so that even anything happens, at least be it digital, be it education, be it anything, we are there to support you to ensure that those who you expect to benefit will benefit from your work and hard work. That's fantastic. Okay, that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we go to our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So earlier in the day, I took a story about Oloja of Epe, Oba Kamoroudeen Animashaun, who dissociated himself from his wife. And according to him, it was because she's belonging to a completely different political party than his, and she has offered herself to receive the deputy governorship ticket in her party, that's the SDP. He didn't tell us the party that he is a part of, but he just says the ruling party. But that brings the conversation of politics, especially this season where everybody, there are various ideologies, various groups, people are being swayed, people are thinking this is what they want to go with. Homes are divided, husbands and wives are divided, mothers and fathers are divided, brothers and sisters are divided, fathers and children. Or even mother, because I remember Governor Obaseki, I think, was saying that his child is I think, I can't remember the party. Labour Party. His child is Labour Party, and he is here, he's PDP. So there are homes that are divided, and the conversation is, how do we manage this? Especially bringing it back to this man, where we're saying that does his wife need permission to run her own political ambition under a different party? Must we bring politics into marriage? Or should marriage be into politics? That's the conversation this morning. You can call us on the numbers on the screen. 08127053687, 09139076948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. Now, this is also important because there's a lot of division out there. There's a lot of friction, and people want everybody to be on their side.
Yeah.
It's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And they believe that only, so they, and it goes away from the ideology. So it's just the same way where you're a Man U fan, I'm a Chelsea fan. I respect that you're Man U, and you respect that I'm Chelsea. We meet, we can yab, but next day we are boys. Why can't we bring that also into this political arena as we're having this? Let me hear your thoughts on this.
Hey, when it comes to marriage, it's a different ball game because expectations that marriage gives, especially in this part of our world where the man is the authority. We're in patriarchy, now. The man is the head. You are supposed to be the neck. Some people are not even neck. Some wives are not even neck. They are leg, And the man expects a certain form of loyalty. That if I belong to this political party, just because you are my wife, you should agree with me. Because the question would be, if you're not able to get people to align with you in your own family, how do you think you can manage the outside place when it comes to leadership? And it plays out even in churches. There was a time, at the time my in-laws were thinking of doing their own church. He used to be a pastor in Redeem, Your Redeem, for many years. And then,
Redeem, honey.
Yeah, nice, Your Redeem now. Yeah. For many years. And with all the politics and everything, he decided to leave and get the blessing of Daddy Gio to set up his own. At that time, the conversation was, the whole family must go with me. Even when we didn't agree, like we don't get it. They didn't call us with you. Do your thing. There was this, I am the man, and if I am the man of the house, the whole family must go with me. He didn't even let his wife have an opinion in that. That's what I see. Because the typical African man believes that if I cannot get the buy-in of my family members, I'm seen as a failure on the outside. That's what's playing out here. And no matter how much you disagree inside the house, you must show a united front on the outside. Now, when you now bring politics to it, you believe you belong to this party, I belong to this party, and two of us are going home in the same, and everybody's wondering, he can't even convince his wife to belong to his own party. Can he convince us? Can he do this? Can he do that? So I think that's where we need to be very careful. Then the permission thing, I will not lie to you. Except you're a woman that has two heads. You must learn to take permission from this our men. Even those ones that speak English that you expect, it's okay, she has a lie. When the crux is down, when the chips are down, you have to take permission from your husband. I'm talking from experience. As woke as they look like they are woke.
You know,
there are some decisions that I have to say, baby, please, can I? Or else, nothing, they shut it down. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Interesting. We'll come to this permission part. Let me hear your thoughts on this, because there are lots of people that are divided, especially seeing spouses divided. I mean, I was in the meeting just a few days ago, and one of my colleagues in the meeting was saying that her husband is completely against this how that they keep fighting. And she's trying to convince him, he's trying to convince her, and they're divided on this path.
Hey.
So it's across parties. What are your thoughts on these political divisions?
The way politics is run in Nigeria, you cannot be divided. Because it's about salary. In Nigeria here, it's about money. But if it was about ideologies, you cannot always agree. So there will be division, but there must be respect. I say that because the way my own family runs, we don't necessarily agree on a lot of things. We just respect each person's side. I am a very, very, I would say, full opinion kind of woman. And imagine that in an Islamic marriage. So my husband is constantly faced with, Nima, say what you think. I know you don't want to hear it. Because I really don't think what you think. We don't think the same all the time. It's never been. I've always had a mind of my own. And so when we come into the home, especially when it concerns the kids, it will be like, Auntie, make sure that I know what exactly you want to do. Imagine that it now comes to politics. We don't always agree. So, yes, if it was
so
about...
in this decision of permission, what do you think? If you were in that woman's shoes, would you take permission? Because you now want to collect deputy governorship.
You will not take permission.
Fortunately, that's why I say, why did woman marry that kind of marriage?
Exactly.
No, she didn't know now.
They know.
They know they negotiate. You know why? Because me now, when it comes to my career and things, I just tell him, you know you can't know these things. You didn't study law. Let me inform you. This is what, and this is why I'm going ahead. I'm not telling you, come and give me permission of what you don't know. Do you understand? When it comes to banking or economics and statistics and all of those things, I pipe low. In fact, ordinary maths for the past 2 weeks. Ordinary maths about something.
Allow him.
I say, bros, please help my life.
It's not my
and no worry. And he'll be like, how can you not know basic? I don't know. 2 plus 2 can be 10. I don't really know. Help my life, because it's not my strength. So we look at it from that area of expertise and strength. If it comes to politics, he doesn't know politics the way I do. And I will tell you, okay, you're entitled to your popular opinion, but you see, when it comes to these things, I would school you, because I have experience. I've run offices in school while I was in school, not just, I have run political offices and held political offices, and I have a basic experience of it, and we cannot, I have clarity on ideologies. I know what I believe in. Recently, we were arguing about a system that works across regions in Nigeria, and he didn't see it like that. And I kept explaining, why would somebody leave their region and come and sell to you that one region's way of doing things is bad? Because they've not solved their own. If you want to criticize, you criticize from within, from your own. And
well, let's go to the point of this united front that BC said earlier. Because I remember that I was telling BC, or I think I said it on the show, where there was a fight many years ago that in my house we had, and till tomorrow, my husband still brings up this thing any small fight. That is how that day you just disgrace. I'm like, what is it? In church they'll tell us that women stop bringing back story. They say, now you're all married, now you they bring back story from the past. What's your problem? So the issue was that he was fighting a good cause, but I felt that there could have been another way to do it. So I was trying to calm him down, but he was upset that how can I be calming down?
You should be supporting him.
Fighting. I'm like, I'm not like that. I'm not a fighter.
It's not about being a fighter.
I'm not going to be here.
Even if you stand at his back and you're doing like this, that's enough. You don't need to say anything. Just be like this.
I was just saying calm down. I said, Brown, calm down.
No, you don't tell him to calm down in front of people.
No, but
please, let's not go there.
You see?
Give another instance.
United fronts. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you know your spouse is wrong, so for example, in your own mind, this party or this political party or this ideology is wrong. You feel it's wrong your own way. And you're trying to say, bros, come this way. And both of you, can you both live successfully in the house when both of you believe 2 different things? This is what this Oba is saying.
There's a level of respect. Okay, no. The Oba is not running for an office, so I really don't see...
but shouldn't he accept his wife's decision?
I'm going to come to the traditional thing.
Okay.
I've not talked about why the wife must, and she can't as an Oba's wife. I'm talking about if the Oba was running for an office,
yes,
he didn't just belong to a party. His wife and himself can always if it was about ideology, belong to different parties with different ideologies and what they believe. And they can come and bring together the ideas and it will still make sense if there's respect. But if you are running for an office, the woman has no business being in another party. The moment you're running, your husband is running for an office, for instance, if he was running for governor in his own party, immediately you hands off. That's what you could need the united front for. Not be saying on just be member of parties, fight condom, they happen.
But ideology is personal.
Yeah.
Ideology is individual.
That's the reason.
So,
The thing is, we have not upgraded our minds to that level. We still have issues with people saying, I stand by this, and everybody's fighting you for not standing by what they stand by. We still have that issue. And we all came from homes and houses. So if I can have that issue with you, what makes you think if my husband stands on your side, I will not have the issue with him? I will. It's not about the marriage now. It's about the fact that we are seeing things differently. I believe this perspective is better. You believe your perspective is better. Nobody is paying attention to how exactly are you seeing your perspective. And even if I don't see it that way, can I allow you stay there and not stay
That's
there?
why I don't agree with you
Now,
when
the
you say
problem-
that we've not gotten there yet. Because when we see it in sports, you're a Man U fan, you're Anissa, we know I'm just saying that in reality, when two guys have different parties, they agree that they are different.
Yeah.
They can argue.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that outside that, they can't be buddies.
But sports is different because they are not the one playing the sports. They are spectators of the sport. So when we finish the entertainment, we go home. We go to movies and I don't like what I'm seeing, you like what you're seeing, but we don't fight. We go home. Do you understand? But now you are the participators. You are inside the cooking soup. So the decisions I take in this party will affect you. The decisions your party take, I may know some bad secret things that those people are doing that you don't know or you're not obvious to. And it's going to affect me or affect my family. And then I allow you. It's not possible.
So there's
that fight that you mentioned. When it comes to small issues, you can believe different ideologies and it's okay. Do you understand? Even in religion, when one person begins to move towards another angle from the original that we all started with, it's usually a major problem in the marriage because your ideology are changing. Somebody believes I have to pray 5 times. Another person is saying, no, I just sit down and meditate and I'm good. It causes a lot of issues because now 2 of you are in the same house, but you're now having different attributes, which will mislead the children because they won't know who to follow. The stronger person, listen now, Morayo, the stronger person will drag the kids.
I don't agree with
the person who has more influence over the children will follow.
Let me.
So it causes a form of division.
Okay,
wait, so can I finish your fight? Because I'm interested in that fight.
I want to respond to this
with Mr. Brown. Wait, let me finish that fight.
We'll come back to
that fight.
That was a long time ago.
I know. I'm just telling you for next time. Don't try it again. You will stand at his back and do like this. Then when you enter the car, you say, but you know, you know, Senna, you mess up. And that's what we're saying. So when it comes to big positions like this, you must find a way to agree or get the permission and buy-in.
See, I didn't want to forget what I wanted to say, but let me go on the break.
Okay, when we come back.
We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We are still referencing the story I took this morning in the papers about the Oba Kamoroudeen, who was saying that he was dissociating himself from his wife, who had picked a ticket from a different party. Now, I wanted to talk about this different religion, you know, that the fact that people with different religions can actually live together. Because the truth is that respect for each other is what I'm trying to express here. I can respect you. You are this religion, I am this religion. I understand what you need to do. You understand what I need to do. And we can live together. Our children can be influenced by both of us equally. And because we've trained them to be adults and independent in thinking, they decide which one they choose to. And either one. So I've seen families where father is Muslim, mother is Christian, and they have like 4 or 5 children, and half are Christians, half are Muslims. It happens that way because everybody, they were raised in a home where they were taught equally. They both parties had 50-50, and then they decided which one they wanted to go. And there was no hassle. So it's about you as a person respecting that my wife wants to be deputy governor under a separate party. And I respect her ambition. I respect her, her drive. And I don't want to kill that passion.
Support.
So I will give you the support. I will give you the support as a husband in your party, but I am not a member of your party. But I will support you.
You see the technicality of this thing. The husband now is an Oba, a member of a party. Normally, he's
Obas members of parties.
You just talk for the story saying
he said that the ruling party is.
We know what we are
but
saying.
he's not officially a member. He's just
but his affiliation
sentimentally attached to the ruling party.
Because when you're in, unfortunately, the way we run traditional schools here, you're on the payroll of the ruling party.
Yeah. True.
So his means of livelihood is in one party.
Dependence, yeah.
We're talking livelihood now. The wife now have ambition. Now, as a family, when one person has such an ambition, that just as I said, if it was a one person was running for office, you need a common front. You need to show that you have your family's backing. That example that she gave, now that one, now in top, that's why you had to disown the journey. If you're going to
I don't follow.
You know, I'm not inside. I'm not a monk. You know.
But is it possible for him not to
the
be
way
a
it is, we watered it. You see, this ideal, it's not possible with the culture that we have. I'm not talking of the cultures of our traditions, the cultures of our system, our society, where, you know, there's a I don't want to call it a corrupt culture, where we cannot own what we believe in until because it can affect what we get as a person.
Let me take this call from Hassan. Hassan, are you there?
Good morning, Morales.
Good morning, sir. You're live. Go ahead, please.
You know, Shani, I understand you well. You are an anchor. You are an anchor. So you are trying to balance of things. Well done for doing your job. When you see this issue of a wife, you understand, contesting under an opposition political party without you, the husband, knowing is an insult. And the husband can be dethroned for that singular act you are seeing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what happened in the First Republic. Oba Olateru of Owo was dethroned for taking sides with Akintola instead of Awolowo. The father of the late Alaafin of Oyo, Adeyemi, was dethroned for being in NCNC rather than be in AG, the ruling party in Western Nigeria. So you see this issue, I can see the aggression. You people are looking at it from you wanting this, you put in there. Let me tell you a recent happening. Buhari in 2019, go and check the picture is there. He was deraping to look at his wife, whether she voted for him or another party.
Yes, so we saw it.
You see, when we are talking this politics, leave this issue of somebody going his own way.
But Hassan, I get that, and I get the history the precedents we've seen. What I'm saying is, going forward, shouldn't we respect each other's ideology? Shouldn't we begin to come to the conversation where we say, in a home, we can be divided and we can respect ourselves, but we still love each other as a family?
Madam, we are talking of consciousness here. Leave the issue of understanding. You understand? If you are with me, you are with me. If you are not with me, let me know. Good morning.
God bless you, sir. God bless you. If you are with me, you are with me.
Growing up, I have a family that, you know, we were neighbors, close family, that I saw this issue of religion. Did you know that because their dad was Muslim and the kids later became Christian, I saw them mock their father at his burial? It was us neighbors who were doing the janaza for the late father who stood as his children. In fact, one of them was like, oh, what are they even reciting? He had no respect, not to talk of love, because I know that deep in love is a respect for your loved ones. He couldn't even show it at the burial. So you see this debate we're having, it's a very tough one.
It is.
Me, personally, I couldn't take that risk ever, not to have a clear front in my own when it comes to religious issues. Because of that one experience, I saw it as in I lived with it. They did not tell me the story. I cannot just mention the name of this family publicly. So sometimes when we see these things, it goes deep beyond. The sister of that man was a Christian, but she was crying, grieving doubly because of the way the brother's children treated her late brother. She was like, is it this religion that you are carrying that is up to this? They considered it a consciousness, and they said because their father never And so he was condemned for hell.
Let me take this call from
understand.
Moshood. Moshood from Abuja, good morning. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, this topic that you are discussing, I think a wife or a family, they should have one political view, because they say husband and wife, they are one. So if they are truly one, they should harmonize their political views, and they should not be seen to be divided. Can a husband be the president and the first lady who have a different political view and belong to another party? If she's supposed to be first lady, that means they share the same political view.
Yeah.
So if we cannot separate husband, who is the president, and first lady, how would they now belong to different political parties?
So, thank you, Moshood. So what we're saying is that in this situation, what we would have probably told her is, don't run for another, don't run. So, kill your own political ambition, because you can't get it in your husband's party, obviously, because maybe there's a structure and they don't know you, you don't have any structure to put you in there. But, so you have now killed your own personal ambition, simply because your husband is not in your party.
You have to pick what's most important to you. So
prioritize.
From time to time, we are faced with choices. Do I follow this my path, or do I sacrifice it because of this marriage? We are faced with choices every day. So you decide. Because there's a reason for do not be unequally yoked in the scriptures. There's a reason for, to avoid all this fight, there's a reason for it. Can two work together except they agree? There's a reason for it. Because it's been over the years that when there's a little discord, you are speaking English and saying, we can agree, we can disagree and still be friends and still live together and all of that. Most of us know how difficult it is to disagree with our husbands and have peace in the house. We know how difficult it is. When a man says, this is my stand, we know how difficult it is. So why are we going to be acting as if it's easy to just, understand your own? And I'm also worried because, when you're raising children, especially with this religion of a thing, you confuse these children. You confuse them. There were some concepts I was bringing up in the house, and my husband called me and said, we are going to confuse these children. You see, these your ideals and these your new beliefs and everything. Please keep it in your heart. Let us find a way to raise them in one. When they are adults, they can now choose the different aspects. We cannot confuse them. And I've seen, because every religion will tell you, especially the foreign religions, when it was our traditional religions, I've never seen where they were comparing each other. This is better. Come and join me. In your town, in your clan, you have your religion that you are grounded in. In your state and your culture, you have your religion. Nobody goes around preaching for you to leave worshiping Ifa to go and worship Amadioha. I've never heard it. It was the foreign religion that came that had this way of proselyting, where you go and preach and convert somebody. So even in that house where you have a Muslim and a Christian, there will be tussle for power. Who will be able to convince who to join this side? So that brings a form of division.
I get you.
When it comes to politics, because we eat from politics, we know how politics runs here. If the paying master is where your husband is, and you want to go and do something else, you have to find another person to feed you.
Yesterday,
Okay, let me take this call from Olubimi. I'll come back to you. Good morning, Olubimi. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thanks so much for this topic. Although it's always difficult to get you guys. You see, okay, Auntie Morayo, I would like to say that you have to listen to what you said about supporting your husband. I know a marriage of about 20 years that is having issues till now because the wife is not supportive. You know about law, most times in marriage, it's about partnership, and that is you have to support and be loyal to your husband. But be that as it may, then the issue of politics in Nigeria, we still practice sentimental politics in Nigeria. You know, I mean, like what my friend, the lawyer, keeps saying, she's my favorite. She said something, you know, she's always logical, maybe because she's a lawyer. When it comes to those things, the instance that she gave about the religion, that was very bad from those people. But when it comes to issues, the Oba saying he's disowning his wife. Like the wife did not sit down with. Let's forget that thing that this Western world people say, what do you call it now, gender equality. Then, also, what is the president of the United States, former Clinton, the wife, when he had issues, the wife stood with him.
Yeah, true.
Throughout, she didn't say, I'm going to go and join the Republican because of that. She stood by him.
Yeah.
That's support. And that man will love that woman till death. You understand? So you can't.
Okay, I think we've been able to thrash this issue. Yes, BC.
BC gave an example yesterday when we were talking about a girl who had to step down for her brother. And I remember saying that, if it was her choice that she owned, no problem. So as a couple, Oba's wife is in running governorship, deputy governorship in another party. He can call his wife and say, this is how this decision you're making affects me. She can own it and say, I'm doing this for my family. Not necessarily, no, I'm not an empowered woman. You're not stepping down for anybody. There's a goal. There's something you must prioritize. Some relationships are more important than others. Yeah. And you think, okay, I'm doing this so that I keep my home, or I'm owning up this choice for the greater good. That way, not be say you do it because of, say, somebody is holding your mouth. You know?
But this is, we have to wrap up soon. In this story, I don't know the full story, but there's a possibility that this is maybe number 5, number 4, number 6 wife. You know how Oba has plenty of wives, so she doesn't feel that important. She doesn't feel like she's in the real scheme of things. Maybe the first wife is the one that is an Oba, or moving with politicians and really enjoying the benefits, the dividends of this Oba-ship. She's maybe number 6 or number 7, and she's thinking to herself, I'm my own person. I want to do my own thing.
So let's say go work out.
She resigned from the marriage.
Exactly. Just work out, and then you will not use the name.
If that's the situation.
You will not do it in a way it would affect him. It's okay. You can say, okay, because of this decision, that's his choice, so that I must run for the deputy governorship. I know that I stand a chance. You can say, okay, they leave house, leave the marriage, go and pursue your ambition, and don't let it affect him, so that it's clear.
Because if her party wins, would he not come back to come and say, my wife?
He will best say now. He's over now. He will best say
let me take this call. Lawal, are you there? Our last call on this matter. Good morning, Lawal. Are you there? Hello, Lawal. Are you there? You're live.
I'm very good. I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Morayo, this issue is a very tough one, and I will start from you. When you make your interest known about your APC or whatever, you know how people value on you, mainly because you are answered your view. That is just your own personal interest. And people say this, that. We are not talking of a wife to another. A wife and another is in the public domain. I'm so much keen to our discussion this morning.
It's not very clear, but I think I got. I didn't hear the second, but I heard the first part. My intent. I'm not a party member of APC. I don't know where this intention. I was invited to participate in the media and strategy group of that. That is what, and it's a job I'm doing. So I'm volunteering to support. Not that I'm not a party member. So that's not. I want to be sure that's not what he said. But I think he said that I have declared. I didn't declare for anybody. Okay, I think that is pretty much, in a nutshell. I would have loved for us to. It seems that we're not ready for that mutual understanding of each other. But I also hear the united front. I also hear the fact that, especially in the marriage, we make choices. Life is about choices. Life is about decisions. Life is about choosing which one to think. And I think that in life, it's not about sacrifices. Sacrificing for the greater good, sacrificing for the for your children and for the family. So in this situation, we would expect that the wife is able to understand the priorities in her family.
Or the husband.
Or the husband is also willing to understand the priorities. Maybe the new party, the wife is the real party. They'll give him the political power and influence the Oba so desires.
Yeah, but he has not seen it yet.
So he needs to see. So somebody has to convince the other. But either way, two must agree to become one. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we're bringing our guests. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. She's a trusted expert in work-life solutions for working parents and also the founder of Mother Honestly, a complete ecosystem reshaping the future of women and families at home and in the workspace. Welcome with us, Blessing Adesina in the building. How you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. A little exhausted, staying up with a baby.
Oh, yeah.
A 1 year old.
Nothing.
1 year old.
Yes,
Oh,
she just
yeah.
turned 1, and we are weaning her off of formula. So, yeah, it's been
Goodness.
a challenge.
How many
but we're
kids you
here.
got?
I have 4 kids.
Oh, my Lord.
Wow,
Age?
Mariah's youngest.
So my first is 13 and a half. My son is 4 and a half. My daughter is 3, and the baby is 1.
Oh, back to back, man.
back to
You
back.
don't have that long break between
So the gap was really for my career. You know, I had my daughter, the first one, you know, at an early age. So I said, you know what, let me focus on my career. Did that for, you know, 9, 10 years, and it was then back to back.
Maybe popping time.
Hey.
Nice, fantastic. Good.
It's by chance that I'm still standing.
So we heard about Mother Honest, and we're thinking, what does this mean? How did it start? First of all, what does it do? And how did it start?
So Mother Honestly, we started in 2018. So at the time I was working, you know, in corporate America. So just backstory, I left Nigeria at a very early age and, you know, went to the US to study chemical engineering. So when I finished my undergraduate degree, that was when I had Tayo. So I went into the workplace with a baby. So I was one of those people that, you know, I didn't have the same experience as most women, right? Most women would go, you're still single, you're sort of, you know, living your best life, and eventually you meet a man and, you know, and you get married. I literally walked in with a baby in hand. And so I think that really shaped my experience around what does the workplace offer women? And so I started asking questions, and I realized that nothing. I mean, pretty much you were just told to come, sit your, you know, behind down and get cracking like everybody else. And so I started questioning, you know, the system. And that was how Mother Honestly started. So we started with literally having conversation about how can we elevate this conversation around care in the workplace. Because, you know, it used to be that, you know, men were in the workplace, right? And women stayed home, caring for the kids and, you know, doing all of this work. And so they had unlimited time to do a lot of things. And so now that women are in the workplace, we're seeing all of that, even here in Nigeria, where women are getting more degrees, women are making more money. And so now that women are in the workforce, you know, the question is, how do we then ensure that the workplace works for everyone? That it not just works for men, but it literally works for women, works for every caregiver of all kinds.
So when you now found your experience, you know, walking into the workplace with your baby in hand, what did that tell you about what other women have gone through before you came into the space?
Well, I think the first thing I thought was, how in the world did anybody not tell me? I felt very betrayed, to be honest. I felt very betrayed, you know, because I thought, wow, everyone made it look easy, right? You know, you would see everyone, you know, in their nice makeup and they're wearing that pencil skirt. I don't know if you all remember, like 10 years ago, you just see this, you know, nice suited up lady. And so I was like, what? You all were going through this? Literally waking up in the morning, you know, I call it the morning grind, you know, getting the kids ready. Okay, who has their lunchbox? Who has their backpack? All right, have you eaten? Did you pack lunch? You basically do all of this work before you even start work. And I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me? So I felt very betrayed by that. And I think that started, you know, my background is in engineering, so I'm a natural problem solver. And so I just went into problem solving mode. I'm like, so how do we do this? Because what I found was the impact, right? In the workplace, more and more, you'll find that when women have kids, they're no longer respected in the workplace. And so I started asking the question, you know, how can women be respected? So what do we need to do in order to...
What are some of the solutions you preferred so far? So in the workplace, is it to get more daycares, creche for the workplace, or do you have more leave for women? What exactly are some of those things you think you've been able to help women to achieve with this Mother Honestly?
So what Mother Honestly have done is we work with women, and we also work with corporations, we work with employers. And so what we do is really try to understand the caregiving responsibilities of people in the workplace. Because, you know, when I said 4 kids, right, you probably all assumed that my 4 kids were healthy, right? You don't know if I have a special needs child. You don't know if my husband is sick. You know, you don't have a clue. And that's what we found through our research. And what honestly is, employers just have no idea. So the first thing that we do is try to understand the caregiving care, I call it the care load of the organization. That way we can start to put in place systems and structures, because we may find that we don't need crèche. If all your employees have kids, over 5 years old, then a crèche is just a waste of our time, right? So understanding the needs of the organization and then being flexible enough to make changes as the needs change is what we found to be successful. So
I'm a very communal person. I grew up helping my aunties. I remember when I was in the university, my auntie at the time was with Charms, one big company everybody wanted to work, and then she had a baby. And so they just called me from school. She has a baby. Go and, So what I know is that everybody puts their hands on to help you make life easy for you. So you have a younger sister, she's there. So when I got married, I didn't have that help, and that was my first shock. But I also understand leaving work for a while, then getting back to work. So which of our ways here as Africans are you aware of? Have you found out, and which one have you deployed successfully, and how would you say it helps?
Yeah, I think that, to your I heard you mention the community, and not once did you mention a man, right?
Oh, of course.
And that's because in our community, we depend on women for care. Yeah. So whether that is a sister or, the next door neighbor, it's more than likely a woman that will step in and say, oh, let me help you with that child, let me support you. I think here in Nigeria, some of the first things that we picked up, and we're starting to work with a lot of companies and a lot of women, and some of the first things that we picked up is, women here are actually doing a lot, especially in the workplace. And one of the things that we did was gather data, because data is important. So in our data, we can see that Nigerian women are making more money. Some of them, in fact, the average Nigerian woman is actually making more money than their partner. I don't know that we've dug into the data on a national level. But the data that we collected, we are seeing that more women are making more money than their partners, but they're also doing a lot of the house chores. Yeah. They're also the one managing the affairs of the home. And so some of the things that we've picked up in how do we support women in Nigeria is honestly the mental overload and the burnout. Women are burning out because they're doing way too much on the work front as well as on the home front. So a lot of the resources that we have is how do we support you? How do we help, take some of those tasks off of your plate? Is that outsourcing? Is that you having the right resources? Is that connecting with giving you the ammunition to go back to your employer and ask for, some of these benefits? I know it's very tough. In the US, I'm always like, go out there, get it, talk to your employer. But, in Nigeria, you sort of need to be strategic, right? Yeah, you can't just come out and make those demands. You can't just come out and make those demands. But, I also want to say that I see a lot of companies in Nigeria that are stepping up. I talk to some companies and they're like, oh, we have crèche, we offer paid, maternity leave. These are things that doesn't even exist. At least, in the United States, there's no federal mandated paid leave, for example, right?
What you said now just reminded me my first maternity leave. I wasn't paid because I hadn't done 1 year in the organization before I get belly. So I went home. We're just starting life. Everything was based on what you're getting, what I'm getting. And for 3 months, I was not paid one thing. But I wanted to ask you the question concerning women's mental health when they're taking in so much. I had a family member who recently gave birth to a baby, and she was diagnosed with, what's this?
Postpartum depression.
Postpartum depression. She will see the baby. She wants to. That was the first time I was meeting someone who had that. And then she was expected to resume work while she was still in that state. She hadn't finished her therapy and all of that. Do you have, in all of these, your podcasts and conferences that you do you have that space where you are catering to the mental health of women, especially those ones who are taking in so much?
Absolutely. And so part of it is, a lot of people don't even have a language for it. And so part of what we drive is awareness. That's the first place, right? Because if you don't even know that you're going through something, you can't put you can't name it. Then, what we found is that a lot of women then, they start imagining things. Or they start saying, you know what, it's just me. I'm the problem. I'm the one. I don't love this baby. I don't love my husband. I don't love my work. But when we have forums like Mother Honestly and our conferences and our podcasts and events, and we start having these conversations, they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, what I was going through could possibly be this, right? And then they can take that back to their, whether it's to their doctor, their pediatrician, whoever it is that manages their health.
So, listen, you're doing a lot making women aware of the things that they need to do, but the awareness to, family members. For instance, postpartum depression is something strange to our mothers. Yeah. They have a traditional way of dealing with it. It is 40 days mugo, 3 months of mugo, it depends on whatever. So they have given you the support. Nobody understands why you don't want to see your baby. You do okay. In picking
don't shop winch.
You don't shop winch, So how are you raising awareness so that people understand and know the kind of support to give to a woman going through so?
Yeah, so that is a tough one, the community piece, because, if you're not going through it, right, it's hard for you to even want to sit down and listen. So what we tell women is, to take some of these information back to their partner or to their community. I always say start with a partner. That is always the biggest issue because, especially here in Nigeria, we are traditional, which is great. I'm a very traditional person as well. But I think that we sort of need to start trying to balance things because, and I use this word, if your partner considers you, right, then they want to help you even the load and they want to help you get the support that you need. And if they're also aware of those situations, for example, this postpartum depression, your partner can say, you know what, please give my wife some time, right? I think we have an issue here, right? And what we find is that society respects men, our society. So if the husband comes out and says, please don't touch my wife.
Everybody will align.
We just had a baby and I think that there's something going on here. But over here we have this savior mentality that women are strong, women can do it all.
Or if your husband no agree, you better pray he finds out.
Or if your husband is like, what do you mean? You just had a baby, is that why you cannot cook? Hey, so many issues.
I think you're working on the conference. So what exactly is the objective of your conference? Because when women gather, they always wonder, the same old thing. What are we talking about? Why is there a need to have a conference?
I think part of this is going to be Mother Honestly's first conference, and we are partnering with Lagos Moms, Yeti Williams. This is going to be their night, so we basically came together to collaborate on this. And one of the things that, when Yeti and I met, what I told her was, I want us to challenge the status quo, right? To start bringing to the surface level these conversations. They are hard, they're difficult. It's hard for, when I speak to some moms, here in Nigeria, and I say, talk to your husband. Why is this uneven? They're like, bless him. Oh my God, you want to mess my, you want to scatter my house and all this, So really, first, this conference is about having the conversation, those difficult conversations around equal partnership at home. I know that it's tough, but when I say equal partnership, I think we should roll it back. Equity. It doesn't have to be 50-50, right? So having that conversation. And then the conversation about how do we elevate this conversation even in the workplace? Because part of how we're going to change the workplace is by demanding for some of these things. We can't just sit and accept it. So giving people not the, go to your manager and lay down all of these demands, but at least how do we start these conversations, whether it's with HR, with, DEI.
I hope you have experiences that you'd share to help women maybe be able to relate the example. So my first child, there was a difficulty switching into motherhood because I dealt with infertility. And so for my husband, it was like, this is the crown. You don't get the baby. Can everybody just go back and be free? And so I lost support for a while, for close to 6 months.
Wow.
And it was overwhelming. And I tried to communicate it, but there was no example until an X-ray showed that my heart was swollen.
Wow.
And he started to beg at the hospital. He would want to kill me because I had a baby. Jesus. So the reality of what the possibility of losing one partner came with that result. Right. If we did not have to get to the hospital to say this, I was having postpartum situations and there was something physical to show, he would never understand how this is. So if women were sharing some of these examples, it will help other women who are going through it be able to relate. It's possible that this happens to me. Would you have,
Yeah, and at the conference on Saturday, we're going to have breakout sessions. And the goal is for people to be able to share their own experiences. I'm going to give you an example. A lady sent me a DM and said, Blessing, I'm finally leaving, which I thought was weird because, usually when I get DMs, it's, Blessing, you want to scatter my marriage. So I said, okay, let me read this. And she said, I have 3 kids and the baby was up all night. I said, well, at least we have something in common. But, what ended up happening was, she took the kids to school, of course, got them ready, went to work, When she got back, you know, the husband was home. She met the husband home. She brought the 3 kids in and, you know, proceeded to serve dinner. So she grabbed leftovers from the fridge. The husband started fuming and complaining that, you know, you're serving me leftovers. But, you know, she didn't say anything. Everybody carried on. So they had dinner and she said, okay, can you take one of the kids to bed? I'm really tired. So apparently she's been the one taking all 3 kids to bed herself, right? So the husband said, no, because you served me leftovers. So therefore, you are on your own. And this is somebody that was already up all night. So, of course, she was exhausted and tired. And so these are, again, some of the examples of how, as a society, women need to start having these conversations, 1. And then 2, how do we even get men in the room as well? So that this is not a woman's issue, right? This is a societal issue.
I was going to ask you, maybe it's time for us to do father honestly. Because
honestly.
a lot of, we spend so much time talking about the girl child. And now we found that the boys are deficient.
Yeah,
so we don't want to spend so much time with women also, forgetting that the men
They'll
also,
stand up with the
we need
deficient
them.
men.
Yes, we need men to also understand the challenges they have in a face. So maybe they can make better decisions in the corporate world also, especially when it concerns women.
And I think it's also showing the value, right? So when I tell people, I say, you know, my husband is always like, listen, you have to think like a man if you want to solve these problems. It's also, how do you communicate the value to a man? Right, that you should be, no man wants to go out there scrubbing toilets and, you know, taking care of the kids. They're like, you know, that is beneath me or that's somebody else's job.
Understand.
Right, and that is because, you know, as a society, we've just always assumed that women will work for free. That women will show up and they will, you know, they will have our back. I mean, every society in the world, right, literally runs on the back of the unpaid labor of women, which is something that I'm passionate about. But you talked about the girl child. 160 million hours. That is the number of hours that girl kids between 5 and 14 spend every year in unpaid work. More than a boy. It's not like that is the total.
Happening in my house.
More than a boy. And, you know, and those are the things. It's also for as us women to challenge our assumptions. Why is it that it's the girl you're calling to do the dishes? And your son is sitting down doing homework
TV,
or watching
ball.
You know, when I was growing up, you know, I was the first 4. Out of, you know, eight kids. I was the 3rd, and I had brothers. And, you know, they would assign me my work that, oh, blessing, you don't want to do dishes. Me, I would just take off. You know, my dad would call, and then eventually I started wearing jeans and shirts. I said, you know what, actually, I'm a boy in this house.
All of us.
I said, you know what, I'm actually a tomboy, and I'm actually studying. So eventually my daddy gave me a pass. He was like, Blessing is doing well, she's getting A's. You know, my mom was like, no, she's supposed to be joining the other girls. So one day I finally stood up. I said, you know what, how about you get your boys to do work in this house? And so since that day, you know, my mom, because my mom is also a feminist, but, you know, sometimes, the culture, you know, my mom was like, you know what? You are actually right. Why does he get to have a pass? So, but what is the value there, right? And I'm going to give an example. I'm going to use my husband. So we had my daughter, my 4th child. And, of course, I was pregnant. I always have C-section. So this was my 4th C-section. So, of course, I told everybody. I put on Instagram, y'all, this is the last baby. We can't do this again. And then, you know, because that was the last one, you know, my husband was like, you know what? You cannot be going up and down the stairs. Let me take on more responsibilities. So, you know, it was the one, you know, scrubbing the toilet, giving the kids a bath. So one day I just said, let me stroll up and see what these people are all about. You know, I strolled up and I saw, you know, him. My husband is a germaphobe. He does a better job than me. So he's scrubbing the bathtub and changing. And you notice that he already purchased from Amazon, you know, the bath mats, toys, squeaky toys. He has all of these different things. And because he's a germaphobe, he's only bathing one kid at a time, you know. And he rinses everything when the first child is done, and then he's getting under their nails. I say, ha.
Yeah.
Because me, I would just throw them.
You have it.
You need to see me bathe myself.
And now they are singing. They have, you know, they have this amazing
time together.
And so, to me, that is the value that we need to communicate to men. That is his humanity that he can now take with him. That his children will remember forever.
Yes, they never forget.
Because he
that's
was
the
there.
bonding time.
Right? It is in these little things that our humanity develops. Think about the person who walked you to school on your first day. Right? Think about the person who, you know.
I'm presently being jealous of my husband. I heard the word BFF for the first time and he wasn't addressed at me. My house. BFF, best friends forever. And they did not address me.
They did not address
the kids gave him that award.
I'm telling you. Because you see, they pay attention to details when it comes. When my husband takes care of the kids, he takes care. But me, I have too many things to do. I don't have time to sponge any shine.
I don't know where you get this kind of husbands from.
Can we this is why we all need to be, we need to be sharing so that we know what is possible. Right?
I know they're there all the time. It's just a few times.
No, mine is
So is the conference free? Are we coming there or just show up? We have to register?
The conference is not free, but we do have some open slots. So if anybody needs tickets, please reach out to us. We are at Prosper Summit. Send us a DM, and we have some tickets that we can make available to a few more people. But, you know, we are honestly excited. I think what really excites us is actually the companies in Nigeria. Because me, I told Yeti, I said, I don't have money to come and be doing advertisements and stressing myself. So we went to employers and we were just very surprised. Companies were saying, you know what, we're sending 20 employees, we're sending 30 employees. So to me, that communicates to me that, you know what, our people are ready for change. And I think that we need to hold on to that. And we need to really start driving that awareness of what is working and what is not. Because if not, we're just going to have a society where our women are exhausted, stressed, burned out.
Cussing. You know, women, African women. Is your father's people constantly
look at my mom now. You know, I'm always like, why was that woman crazy?
Cussing all the time.
I said, why was this woman crazy?
All the time.
I just look back and I'm like, my mom was always crazy. You know, sometimes she will roll something at us. And I remember now that, you know, what I know now is that it's rage and resentment.
Yeah, resentment.
A lot of what I've seen with a lot of Nigerian women, when we surveyed, the women we surveyed, 50% came back and said they were doing more than their partner. And another, 20% said they think they are doing slightly. So let's just say 75% are doing way more managing the household responsibility. And so that creates rage. Right, and resentment towards your partner.
Because that's not how we are wired. We are wired for the soft life. We're made from Adam, from the rib, from the crude. We're made from finished products. And we are meant to live the soft life.
I don't disagree. I honestly don't disagree. I think that, one of the things that I tell people is we need to start thinking about self-care. It's something that is a productive thing for us to do as women. Because I just see so many Nigerian women, we are out there just doing it for everyone.
My darling, I'm
once
letting
my husband makes the first $10 million, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm just home, eating and just having
I'm telling you, you need it.
Okay, there's a message online. It says, I will say it again, it's the mothers that raise the men. If we don't stop these gender roles in the house, they won't get it.
Oh, thank you so much, Blessing, for joining us. So we'll definitely see if we can get some tickets for our viewers who are interested. She's going to be giving us some free tickets for some of our viewers. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I just hope that there was something you told me when I met you. You talked about, you gave me a figure of how much we're losing, the GDP we could have contributed into the economy if women are allowed to work in the hours.
It is $1.9 trillion. So that is the number of hours that women spend on unpaid work. Think about that. That is more than the GDPs of
some countries.
Countries, like even the US. It's like 6 top countries. That is their GDP. That is money that we're leaving on the table because we refuse to monetize this work. We don't value it because women are doing it for free, right? The minute we start to value it, that is money that can now go into the GDP. And we can now start monetizing.
Pay you
for cooking.
And maybe he doesn't have to be the one to pay, but at least we value it. Let's just even start with value.
Put an amount to it.
You know, let's
start
valuing it. Because why should we assume that, a woman's work is free?
It comes with the package.
Yeah, it comes with, so I was telling, there was a man on Diary of Niger Girl that said that, that his wife is not making fresh food for him daily.
Yes.
And I was like,
so someone is asking on Twitter.
Pay for those late night midnight cooks. She would definitely
do it. Yes, before.
You work everything out.
That is all we can take on the show. Thank you so much, Blessing. I hope you learned a few things as we have.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye for now.
Bye.